welcome. Welcome to Simply Sarah. I am so grateful that you are here. The composer who wrote that music was recently in brain surgery and did incredibly well. And so to Danny Cock, we say thank you for being who you are, for being so strong, and we're excited about your incredible future. We also say thank you to our sponsors, to the Stegner family, to Michelle Bell Art, the Art of Forgiving, and also to our guest today, to Jackie Segers. We are thrilled that you are joining us all the way from New Zealand. Oh, friend, it's just so good to have you on the show.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Yes, it's the future here. Uh,
Yes.
so you're talking to me. You're talking to me on Friday, so it's
Yes. I'm thinking about 17 hours ahead of
yeah.
East Coast time, and just so grateful for us finding this space and time to make this conversation work. You do some profoundly amazing things in New Zealand and also in Australia. Tell us a little bit about your journey to get to where you are today, friend.
Okay. Where do I start? um, so I'm a Reiki practitioner and teacher, certified reflexologist, and I'm also a craniosacral therapy practitioner. So that's my background. So I've been in the wellness business for about 25 plus years now. So um, my journey with Reiki started when I was um, about 21. I lost both my parents 5 months apart,
Mm.
and my partner at the time, his mum did Reiki, and it was always funny prior to that big life change for me. I would go around for lunch, and she'd have her Reiki books out, and I'd kind of have a little look in the Reiki books, and there'd be all these sort of weird symbols, and I'd be like, ooh, I don't know about that. And then after my mum passed away, Barbara said, would you like some Reiki? And she put her hands on me, and I felt this profound sense of peace, a connection to something that I couldn't quite explain. I guess spiritual or esoteric might be a better word. I didn't grow up in a religious or spiritual household. So it was quite a remarkable sense of peace and stillness. And I continued to get Reiki from her because my father transitioned 5 months after my mum. And it really helped me tap into my inner resources to get through that particular challenging time. But my path with Reiki didn't start at that point in terms of something that I wanted to dedicate my life to. Um, so my partner had an opportunity to go and study at an art school in New York City, and he got a scholarship for a year. And at the time that my parents passed, I wanted to be an academic. I was doing a master's degree in social anthropology, and I wanted to go off and do field work in Papua New Guinea and basically spend my life in a enclosed space with books and travel to exotic places. And so losing my parents just, you know, it made me go, well, I just need to reassess everything. So I was working in a bookshop, and he walked in one day and said, "Oh, do you want to come with me to New York?" And I was 24 at the time, and so off I went for an adventure in New York City.
Yes.
And and my and I came back to New Zealand for a break because I was partying hard, and as you do in your 20s. And Barbara said, "Oh, look, I think you should learn Reiki." So that's when I did my 1 and 2 attunements, but I didn't feel, I wasn't in that space to make that connection with the energy.
Mhm.
And her teacher happened to be visiting New York, and I ended up doing my sort of advanced yoga training with him. And that's when things started clicking into place, like, I think I'm interested in healing work. So yeah, so it all kind of went from there. And then we got an opportunity to go to California, to LA, Pacific Palisades, which I
Yes.
believe is burnt down now.
It's very
Where I
sad.
used to live is now in
Yes.
ruins. Um, and so here I was living in LA. I didn't drive.
Mm.
I was in this very affluent suburb,
Yes.
going, not being able to work legally.
Right.
And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? And so I thought, I'm going to go back and study. So that's when I ended up doing my reflexology training
Mm.
and craniosacral therapy training, and I just immersed myself back into the world of learning.
Mm.
And then eventually we got tired of America and wanted to come home, because
Yes.
home
Yes.
home is where you make it, of course, but there is a specialness about New Zealand, and
Mm.
a simplicity,
Yes.
and a more slower pace of life,
Definitely.
and how you connect with people is obviously different wherever you go in the world, but where you grow up, there's always those connections that are very special.
Mhm.
So I ended up coming back to New Zealand, and my life is very, I try and follow synchronicities, and sometimes life just throws me, like the universe just throws me in the deep end sometimes, and goes,
Yes.
right, Jackie, this is what you're going to do now. And I go, I don't know if I could do this. And growing up, we never used to have this word imposter syndrome, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And it was just like, okay, well, I'm doing this now. So I was setting up my business,
Mhm.
and clients were asking me, do you teach Reiki? And so literally I got all these requests for, do you teach Reiki? So I made a very special connection with a New Zealander, another Reiki teacher, when I was living in LA, and before she came back to New Zealand, she said, she just looked me in the eye and said, when the time is right, I want to teach you to be a Reiki teacher. So I sought her out and did my master training, and that was 21 years ago. So I don't know
Mm.
where that time's gone. And within that first week of doing that training, I taught my first Reiki class. So boom.
Yes.
And then I was looking for, and around the same time, I was looking for books on reflexology for animals, because I was
Mhm.
very much interested in working with animals and working with the healing modalities that I did. And I couldn't really find any books. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to probably have to write one.
Correct.
So and then I found a publisher in New Zealand who ended up publishing my Reflexology for Cats and Other Natural Therapies for Your Feline Companion book.
Lovely.
And this was just like bam, bam, bam. The other thing that happened was, I got introduced to a wonderful friend of a friend who did acupuncture, and she was actually teaching acupressure at a natural therapies college here in Auckland. And she said, "Oh, Jackie, we don't actually have anyone teaching the reflexology module. We have a guy who's teaching it, who's actually an acupuncturist, but he doesn't know what he's doing." And she was like, would you come in and teach some practical aspects of reflexology? So I was like 2 years out of my 2 years out of my reflexology degree, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I could come in and do something. And within that year, Sarah, I'd basically taken over the program, redeveloped the whole course. And here I was teaching at this natural therapies college, and all those three things all happened within the same year. So
Remark.
sometimes you just have to follow where the signposts are and where life takes you.
Jackie, it's remarkable that all of those things happened so quickly. And it's also so amazing how, as you shared earlier, how quickly both of your parents passed within 5 months of each other, how they transitioned so quickly. So it seems that life for you, and then um, when you were at the bookstore, that your partner at the time came and walked in and said, "Let's do this," he invited you, and quickly you made that decision. So it seems like speed has been something that has really worked in your favor on so many different ways. We're going to have more of a conversation. This is a great place for us to say thank you to our.
This is Michelle. She teaches women how to forgive the people who betrayed them, not by asking them to talk about it, but by helping them express it through art. She's an art therapist and the creator of the art of forgiving, a class that turns emotion into expression. No therapy jargon, no pressure to explain, because forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about setting yourself free. This is Michelle, and this is the art of forgiving.
Jackie, I am loving this conversation because you so clearly
Okay,
share.
I'm not rambling too much.
No, you're not rambling at all. I am loving that you are sharing so clearly your path of what was taking place in your life, and yet how spirit kept pulling you back and saying, "Come do this." And yet there's also this piece of you wanting to be an academic,
Yeah.
and then you are at a holistic college and they're asking you to come and help, and you already have all of this experience as an academic in terms of how your mind thinks and how you take in the information. No wonder you were able to come in and make such a huge difference in how they were teaching things and the curriculum and the order of things. That just completely up leveled for them what was taking place. I'm so
But I
excited.
didn't think I could I didn't think I could do it, right? I was like, "Why are you asking me? I don't have any experience." But what I did have on my side was passion, right?
Absolutely.
So I think the energy of passion can propel you and carry you on with your goals and what you want to do.
I also appreciate, Jackie, that you weren't afraid to go. You were like, "I'm surprised that you chose me." There seems to be some level of surprise, right? And yet you knew that you could take the step forward into that. You didn't allow fear to hold you back from exploring something new and different. And that for me is such a beautiful place. What allowed you that space to move forward so courageously?
I think that early experience of losing my parents and because I didn't have any brothers and sisters, I didn't have any immediate family.
Oh,
So it was all about my journey, and it's just been my journey in life is that I've been very self-sufficient, right? So I have to make things work, that's really what drives me, right?
yes.
And I mean, I don't believe anyone that says, well, I don't feel scared or, with what they're doing because, there's always, you need a little bit of fear, right? You need a little bit of like coming on and talking to you today. It's a little bit like, oh, what's she going to ask me sort of thing. Um, so I think, yeah, so I think my experiences have really
Mhm.
driven me to have that courage to just give things a go and
Mm.
and to realize that it's all learning experiences, right? Every time we're doing something new, we're gonna f up, we're gonna make mistakes, so and really just to try and have a bit of a sense of humor about that.
Yes. Humor goes so far in experiences where we're not sure. And I think also to be able to say, in the past, this is how I would have reacted to this. And yet here I am moving to this future space and I am open to the possibility. I don't know how it's going to look, but I'd rather do this and have it be really, really messy and learn and know that I can clean it up later on after I get through the messy part of it than to
Yeah.
not try at all.
And I think people are very forgiving.
They
You know, if you kind of go, oh, that didn't quite work, and people are like, I think when for me as a teacher and a practitioner, I'm very honest with who I am.
Mhm.
So,
Yes.
and I think people respond to that, right? They don't see you as the teacher on some kind of pedestal, but someone who's actually approachable
Yes.
and sharing my stories, I think, is also very important. I used to have this perception of being a Reiki teacher where it was like, I've got to wear white and I've got to do certain things. And now I just share everything about me, and I trust that the students come are the ones that will resonate with me, my energy.
Yes. Yes.
And so now I wear lots of color.
It's lovely.
And I express who I
Uh-huh.
am through my clothing, right? So
Yes. And I
so
think
it's
also
just
that,
about being authentic, right? And sharing that
mm,
because in this field there can be some people that maybe aren't so authentic. So,
yeah.
you know,
Jackie, I really appreciate you bringing that up. One of the things that I really encourage people who have never heard of Reiki, first of all, it's a cousin to meditation. And if they are looking for somebody who is going to, that they're going to have conversations with, but potentially even somebody who's going to put their hands on them if they're going to go for in person Reiki, I really encourage people to have conversations with that person, that potential person, right? From that standpoint of you want to sense into who they are, ask them questions. But what
mm,
you touched on right there, Jackie, is such an important place, that space of authenticity. If the person comes across like, I've got it
mm,
all together and I'm going to lay my hands on you and you are going to be healed, um, I have a very different understanding of what happens in that Reiki session, where I see it much more as the person is being open to healing and that they are the one who is, that they are allowing all the things to release that need to be released.
yeah,
That this might be their first chance of really thinking about in their life, what is holding me back and what can
mm,
I actually let go? And they might be very, very awake during that time. I remember one client who laid there with his eyes open the whole time, wanted to see everything that I was doing. And then after that would just come in and absolutely go to sleep and go snoring so quickly. But that space of you don't have to be awake in order for Reiki to work. I would love for
yeah.
you to share a little bit of the advice that you give to people who are considering Reiki.
Um, I guess it is about finding the practitioner that resonates with you. So, I would call or talk to the practitioner before you book a session, and you might want to ask a little bit about their training, their experiences with Reiki, um, maybe how Reiki has shaped their life, um, and whether Reiki is something that will potentially appeal to them.
I love that, that space, those questions to be able to ask, or that thought process with that. You
But
have,
also go with your intuition. Go with your intuition as well. That's the thing. Like I've had students who've come along to learn Reiki, and I've asked them, where did you find out about me or hear about me? And they were like, well, I saw you on the Reiki Association list, and I just went like that and intuitively went, okay, right. I don't know
yes,
why.
Jackie's the one. You have
And I'm not going to
taken,
be everyone's cup of tea, right?
right,
So
Nor will
I
I.
mean, you know,
Yeah.
I don't take things too seriously.
Yes. And that's another, I think, a really key tool in whatever journey somebody is in, is to not take it too seriously, because all of this is a learning experience. We are all in Earth School. We are all learning
Yeah.
different pieces and things that are taking place.
And we need to remember, we just need to remember it's all a bit of a game too.
Mm,
And, you know, and as we get older, as we lose our childhood innocence and our sense of play, and you know, we become, you know, we need to become more serious and adult, and you know, and we just need to keep that perspective that, well, if we approach life as a little bit of a game and a little bit of a, you know, like just flowing with certain aspects, or to let go of the worry a little bit about, you know, just trusting that everything's going to unfold in that perfect time space sequence.
mm. And this sequence is so important. And it's okay to be in a place that feels very, very messy or not unorganized. Because if you think about a stream, water will come into the eddy, it'll get stuck, and then it eventually moves back out into the stream and
Mm.
keeps going.
Yeah, the trick is just to be uncomfortable in the mess,
Mm,
right? Because we're so conditioned to, you know, oh, this doesn't feel right. I need to change this. But you know, my great advice is, if you actually don't know what to do, then don't do anything, right?
mm,
So things are either going to shift, they're going to fall away,
yeah,
they're going to move, you know. I mean, there's no such thing, there's only temporary vacuums, right? You
right.
know, everything is constantly moving. And if
Mm,
you can just stay in that place of stillness and uncertainty, you know, that's been something that I've been coming back to this year, because this year's been quite challenging, is that, you know, just stay with that uncertainty. If it doesn't feel right, then don't do anything. But then eventually you'll kind of get a little insight into, okay, well, this is actually, okay, this feels right. I'm going to move in this direction now.
mm. Jackie, you have created something that I'm so excited to share with our listeners around the globe. Tell us about what you've created.
So I've created it's a fusion of Reiki and craniosacral energy release techniques from craniosacral therapy, that I've called the SpinaReiki Method. And it's something that I've been working with for several years now, adapting craniosacral energy techniques and combining it with Reiki, and specifically working energetically with the spine. So, you know, I've got a bit of a restless Aquarian mind, and you know, I'm always kind of, I'm always looking for the next thing to play around with and develop. And it was just a natural synergy bringing together craniosacral therapy and Reiki together. So they're different sides of the same coin. They're both energy-based
Mhm,
techniques. I call craniosacral therapy sort of the bridge between science and conscious medicine,
mhm,
because um, there's definitely a structure to it. With Reiki, it's more very much intuitive and feeling into energy,
mhm,
but it's just about, yeah. So the modality is combining the two together, because I really realized when I was doing cranial work, I was actually doing Reiki. And
yes.
when I was doing Reiki, I could feel the craniosacral rhythm, the pulsation of the cerebral spinal fluid
Mm,
as it gets created in the ventricles of the brain, and then it gets released down the dural tube and released into the nervous system and bloodstream, and so yeah, so I developed SpinaReiki as a professional development workshop for Reiki practitioners.
Tell me more about the spine. I come to come into the Reiki world with a knowledge of music. And so for me, I can hear things at times. I definitely feel with my hands, having grown up in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Um, there is just something about my hands that having grown up in the village, everything that we did, we used our hands for, whether we were weaving
Yeah.
or if we were, and that includes, weaving palm fronds, or if we were weaving somebody's hair, if we were in the water, supposed to be getting clean, we were using our hands as drums, and we were playing in the river and making different sounds with it. I was always as a child using my hands and feeling things.
Hmm.
And so for me, as I then moved into becoming a musician, again, as a conductor, I was feeling the energy, or what the energy was supposed to become, of a song with my hands. And so when I came into the Reiki world, it was, oh, I get to use my hands. It made sense to me from
Hmm.
that standpoint. And I have family that are deeply into the medical world. And I chose to not go that direction. And so I would love for you to speak a little bit more, as you already have, about what's taking place in the brain and in the spinal cord, and how this energy of Reiki is working in with the structure of the body.
Yeah. Um, so with the SpinaReiki method, it's about tapping into the pulsations of the cerebral spinal fluid, um, when we work with the dural tube, which is the dura mater that surrounds the spine. And then we also have those autonomic nervous system connections as well that link into the different organs and structures and glands in the body. And then we've also got chakra
Mhm.
insertion points along the spine as well. So uh, and then if you come from more of a Ayurvedic, perspective, then we've also got that the Kundalini energy that runs through the spine as well. So there's different ways that we can work with the spine, and so really my workshop is covering all those different aspects.
Mm. And I would think that um, somebody coming to you who may have some physical ailments, in addition to the Reiki energy helping them to release things that they are done with, and potentially bringing them some thoughts about how to move forward or
Hmm.
how to be still. Are
Hmm.
you also then doing physical manipulation with the body, with the cranial part of it?
No, there's no manipulation. It's all about presence. It's all about listening. It's
Yes.
all about honoring the client's system.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk in cranial work about that. You can talk with the John Upledger, one of the developers of craniosacral therapy. He called it the inner physician, right? And that there's this wise entity within us
Mm-hmm.
that knows the answers, right? And that we can communicate with that. I mean, I guess another way of looking at it is the higher self of the client, and we can kind of talk to that in a position and sort of, and just feel into a response, right?
Yes.
Um, but what I like about the approach is that we make suggestions, but we never manipulate.
Correct.
And the body responds to that,
Yes.
right? The body
Yes.
responds to that a lot better than if we as the ego driven practitioner decides to make this particular adjustment, because that's what we've been taught in our training. Um, but if we pulsate and vibrate love through our touch, which I think that's what we do with Reiki,
Yes.
that's really the essence of what Reiki is. Then the system of that client the inner physician, the higher self, can make that decision, but we always honor that decision, whether the client wants to change or not change.
Right.
We give options, but we honor the place
Mm.
of the client.
I think one of the greatest gifts in Reiki is the space to just be still. I remember the first time that I had a Reiki experience. It was a short 15 minutes sitting in a chair. I was part of a book club and we were talking about meditation. And the person who invited me, I had great respect for. She has since transitioned. Um, and I, she had gone to this person for Reiki. I'd never heard of the word, but because Beth Meisner had gone to Janice Birkenhager, I knew that I could go as well. And I went home that night, Jackie, and I slept the best that I had after 4 tumultuous years of things, everything coming. There wasn't an area of my life where things weren't hitting.
Yeah.
And slept the best that I had in 4 years that night. Woke up the next morning and drove from Los Angeles through Ventura, up past Santa Barbara, all the way up to Santa Maria. And I
Mm-hmm.
stopped in Santa Barbara just as a stretch break, just to see the ocean. And as I got out of the car, I felt the wind on my face differently. I just knew that
Mm.
there was a new level of vitality in my life. That even though
Mm.
um, I had felt in such a dark place, that this was an opening for me to be able to see things differently.
Mm.
And you had shared how you hadn't grown up in a church, in a spiritual necessarily family, a religious family. My family was
Religious. Yeah.
Yes, my family was extremely religious,
Mm.
but even more than that, they were highly spiritual. And so for me, that space of what does this mean? What is this? I've never heard of this as here I am an adult and have a child at this point, married with a child. And, what does this mean? And so that space of opening up that question and unlocking that question was actually the reason why I wrote my first book. Reiki and Christian beliefs, where do they intersect? Because I was so curious to find um, the place that I could be like a butterfly, that what I believed and what I knew, what I believed and what I experienced could be things that made sense, right? That they were symmetrical, at least the best as I could make them, I could understand them to be
Mm.
symmetrical. So for me, that was my first step into this world, what we call Reiki. And it was just a 15-minute experience. And yet from that, I knew that I would never tell a soul about it, but I needed to go back and learn how to do that
Yeah.
because my husband and my daughter, all of us were experiencing the things that were coming at all of us. And so that's how I first came in, was first trained just in one and two. And again, wasn't going to
Mm.
tell a soul except for my husband and daughter. I found a way for us to sleep. I found a way for us to be able to deal with stress that's different, and it works.
Mm.
It's worked for me, and so let me
Yeah.
learn this, and I will share it with you as well. And so that was kind of my thought process. And it wasn't until the person who'd been my teacher and my mentor was she and her husband were both selling all of their businesses in Southern California and moving to Arizona so that he could continue painting boats on the California side, but they were very
Mm.
much involved in what was taking place um, in that area. And so they just needed to be closer to that. And so she had people who were interested in taking classes. And I, by that point, had been trained so I could teach as well.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't a straight line for me of, I'm going to do this and then and this is going to be the end result. That was, I never thought at that point about having a television or show or interviewing people around the world or having conversations with people about Reiki or energy or lightness and darkness and things that you can do to ground. I'd never considered any of that.
Mm.
And yet, just being open to the possibility, here we are so many years later, and just so grateful for being invited to that book club and having people there that I respected and knew and could trust as I learned about something that I had no idea about.
Yeah. All those beautiful synchronicities that have led you to this point in your life.
Yes. So, talk a little bit more, please, Jackie, about how you see synchronicities and how you, some people call it, feeling the nudge. How do you see those pieces coming together?
So I think to spot synchronicities, we need to, you need to come from, you need to have moments of stillness in your life. So taking time out, whether that's a meditation practice or yoga practice or Reiki practice, or even for me, nature is very, very important. We've got lots of beautiful, probably everyone's seen Lord of the Rings. So
That was,
we've got
yes.
beautiful opportunities here and to connect with nature. And so I think I think synchronicities are like whispers. They can be like whispers, and sometimes they can hit you right in the face, right? So
True.
you're like, come on, this is what you should be doing now. But I think a lot of the time it's more subtle. So we need to be, if our mind is constantly busy, then we might be missing those subtleties.
And what are some of the tools that you use to quiet a busy mind?
So I spend a lot of time with the precepts, the Reiki precepts. So for
Yes.
those of you that maybe aren't so familiar, um, so the system of Reiki is mostly known as a hands-on laying on of hands technique, healing technique, but that's actually part of a bigger system. So we have these tools that the founder of Reiki, Sui Reiki, developed. Mikawa Sui developed these 5 precepts to assist his students to um, essentially find their path to divinity. So the system of Reiki is just about being aware that we're all molecules of that divine wholeness, of that universal love wholeness. And so the precepts were the precepts. So the system of Reiki is founded on. It is actually about disciplining the mind so that we can become aware of our own divine nature. And so the 5 precepts: do not anger, do not worry. So those are very much ego concepts. They disconnect us when we feel angry, when we feel worried. We feel disconnected from source. We're not sort of trusting that we are, everything is unfolding perfectly as it should be. Feeling grateful. So I definitely have a big gratitude practice where I wake up every morning and evening and think about the things I'm grateful for in my life. So that creates a lot of stillness for me. Um, the 4th precept is about sharing it's translated as work diligently or
Right.
be humble, but I interpret it as share your gifts, share your light with the world,
I like that.
share your skills, right?
Mhm.
Mm, The time is now. The time is not about shying away from what you need to be doing to to bring more balance to this world. Um, and so that's something I really focus on every day. Is it's the Buddhist idea of focusing on impermanence and knowing that you're not going to be here for very long. So the time is now to take action and to share your light, right? And
Yes.
then it's about being kind to yourself and all others. And so, a practice for me is reflecting in the evening before I go to bed. In what ways have I, how well have I done with these precepts today? And sometimes it can be a mixed bag, you know,
Of
like,
course.
oh well, you know, I got a little bit I got a little bit worried there. Or I got quite angry at that point, but you know, hey,
Mhm.
this is you know, these are the kindnesses that I extended to the world today. So you know,
Yes.
so that's a big part of my
Mm.
practice.
I love that you talk about the precepts. When I was working with William Lee Rand, who has been the president of the International Center for Reiki Training for
My
decades.
advanced Reiki level 3A teacher, William Rand.
Yes, mine as
That's who
well.
I that's who I studied with in New York.
Yes, yes. I studied with him in Michigan and also in Hawaii.
Hi,
And
William. Not that he remembers me.
exactly.
Who?
But as he was talking, as he was sharing about the precepts, he said that Usui um, actually got them from the Emperor of Japan. That after all of the years of the shogun, the years of the fighting, and the years, the Emperor of Japan wanted to bring people together. And what can we all
Mm,
say? What can every single tribe, every single group on every single island of Japan, what can we all be saying that would be unifying for us? What would be
mm,
helpful? And so taking that space of bringing that over also into then the Reiki practices of choosing to be aware of the energy that's
mm.
flowing through us. And when we worry, it changes the energy. When we become angry, it changes the energy as well. And then if we
Yes, that's
change
right.
the energy, can we figure out how to unchange it? Can we figure out how to come back to a place of peace? And that's
Mm,
that space of being kind, of um, I think of acknowledging it first for
yeah.
myself. There's that space of, oh, I really overstepped the line there. I maybe need to even go apologize or have a conversation about how I
They're
showed up in
they're
that
very
particular.
cleverly designed because
They are.
yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. They're very cleverly designed, right? We need to start with we need to work on anger and worry first,
Mhm.
because then you know, if we don't work with that first, then we can't feel the gratitude. We can't share our gifts. We can't, you know,
Be
we can't be
kind.
kind.
Yes.
So there, you know, has to be that first.
Mhm. I really appreciate, Jackie, also you talking about that space of morning and evening, getting ready for the day,
Mm,
allowing the day to come to an end, almost in a ceremony of what
mm,
you are choosing to say, how you are choosing to reflect, making perhaps some mental notes or some energetic adjustments so that you can sleep well, wake up the next day for a brand new, completely unlived, completely full of opportunity day when the sun rises.
yeah. Yeah, they're sacred passages, aren't they?
They really,
Morning and evening.
yes,
And, you know, that's where we can cultivate stillness within ourselves as well, because the world hasn't touched us in the morning, you know, when we're lying in bed.
yes.
And then when we lie in bed at night, again, there's a sense of conclusion there.
It's also this space where our brain moves into theta waves the most easily. And when our brain is in that space, we are most easily able to speak to our subconscious about things that we want to see showing up in our life. And so, if we choose to use precepts or have affirmations, or we have something that we read before we get
Mm,
the day going, and those things the things that we choose to say to ourselves are things that can change over time. Um,
mm,
and it's okay for those. I mean, some of the things like precepts are going to stay the same, right? Our interpretation of them, I really appreciated how you spoke about using our gifts. The time is now for
mm,
that. That's really, I think, gets to the heart of what they were talking about in that
mm,
particular space. But coming in with this is who I am, where I am. I know that there is something more that's calling me forward. In what way am I able to perhaps move that forward? What nudges am I getting in my quiet time that might be helpful? And then putting some of those into words to be able to say in the morning, to say in the evening, just as a anchoring into that space of our subconscious. Because I don't know about other people, but I got a lot of stuff in my subconscious that isn't necessarily working for my good.
Mm.
So we're doing some
Yeah.
serious cleaning these days.
Yeah, well, that morning time is incredibly powerful because there is that natural tendency for the mind to draw towards maybe the fears and the doubts, and so I think you really need to discipline the mind to really, yeah, have a set of affirmations, or have a practice that you do to that we can, move that energy into a different direction.
You shared there about having the affirmations be these things. When when we are in that space of beginning to wake up, we are our first thoughts, if we don't choose to give it something to work on, our first thoughts are taking the past and pushing it into the future. How did I so if this is my list of things that I'm going to get done today, in the past I'm as I'm waking up, I'm drawing on how did I feel then about it? What happened then? Oh, that person said something negative. Oh, that's what's going to, and so we're taking and imprinting what has happened into this perfectly brand new day.
Mm.
And if we choose rather to give our brain, these are the things that I'm going to be doing, and this is how I want to show up and feel as I'm doing these things, we are setting our brain up to look, because our brain is always looking for ways um, to affirm what we believe about ourselves. And so if we are giving ourselves something new and fresh, our brain's going to be looking for ways to be able to affirm that.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there definitely has to be some discipline there. Like, when those negative thoughts come up, you need to recognize them and go, okay, well, thank you for sharing.
Yes.
But there's no use pretending it's not there, right? But thank you for
Yes.
sharing. But I don't have to believe this, what you're telling me.
Oh, Jackie, that's so true. Yes. Yes. I choose to be selective in what I'm going to
Yeah,
believe.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely. Every day is a gift, and it's an opportunity to do things differently.
It really is. Jackie, as you look at your life, where you have been, all the things that you have learned, this beautiful weaving that you are doing of taking different modalities and creating something fresh and new out of that, where where do you see, what are some of your next projects or things that you're working on as you think about the future?
Well, that's my main baby at the moment.
Mm.
So Sarah, I'm actually just in the middle of packing up my house that I've lived in for 16 years,
Mm.
which is the longest I've lived anywhere. And had a major relationship breakdown this year, 11-year relationship. And yeah, so I'm kind of packing everything up, and the plan is to hopefully take SpinaReiki on the road, and to do. I mean, I would love to come back to the States at some point,
Yes.
um, and really, as you get older, you need to have moments where you kind of sit down to figure out what you need to do. So when I turned 50, I realized I'm 52 now. I keep thinking I'm 53. I keep thinking I'm not a year older than what I actually am. But when I turned 50, I was very much like, I've worked hard all my life, right? I've worked hard to be self-sufficient, to support myself, and I said, and so my partner at the time, we made this decision to go to Australia and travel around for 4 months last year, and and just have a sabbatical, right? To actually have to take my SpinaReiki workshops on the road. So that was a good
Yes.
opportunity to share that knowledge and to further refine the course as well,
Mm.
but also to have breathing opportunities. And if you've never done a sabbatical, I would highly recommend it,
Mhm.
because it is a good reset button. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I just want to be a bit of a gypsy. I've got the dress for it,
Yes.
and I got the wardrobe for it.
Yes.
and 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 now that relationship is broken up, and and I just try and I have to be focused on, when these things happen, the universe is that energy is has been used up, right?
Mm.
There's fresh energy, there's fresh opportunities, there's fresh challenges, and so it just made me realize, yeah, I want to travel, I want to teach, but here I am. I'm in New Zealand. Hey, how do I make this happen? So thank you, Sarah, for talking to me today and helping,
Yes.
share my ideas with your wider community. Um, so there's a lot of uncertainty. I'm going to Thailand in December. I'm going for 7 weeks,
Good.
with a friend, and again, that's going to be another a bit of a reset, a bit of a sabbatical. Maybe do a little bit more training. I don't know, but I don't know. Is it good?
And it's okay to not know. And my heart just reaches out and gives you a heart hug, because we 2.5 years ago packed up the one place that I had lived the longest in my life. And um, it was incredibly difficult for me, not just because we were relocating. I've moved, living overseas, I've moved,
Mm,
I've done all the things, I've moved. But this one felt so different because the place um, had a wall that we called the Reiki rock wall. It had this beautiful wall in it that when I walked into the house the first time, I thought, who would ever put that in their house? And then I learned Reiki and I was like, oh, you have been calling me here. But it
yeah,
was just so evident that it was time for us to, um, the house had taught us, the land had taught us all the things it needed to teach us. They had dynamited that space. The energy was so pure, it was so clean, um, because we were just
mm,
absolutely on bedrock. And so we had learned the things that we were supposed to learn there. And it was time for
yeah,
us Spirit was calling us for
yeah,
new openings, new times, and new spaces. But my heart really hears your voice when you say that you've lived there for 16 years, longer than
yeah,
any other place.
yeah.
I
And
respect.
I mean, I love my space. My space is just,
Yes.
it's just imbued with all this energy, right? And the
Right.
love
Yes.
that has been here over the years.
Yes.
Um, but we can get very entrenched in our routines,
Mhm.
and needing safety, and sometimes we just need to be brave. Sometimes we just need to say, well, yeah, time to move on.
Yeah. And it's okay for the doors to close. It can be hard, and yes, grieve, let the tears flow.
Oh
And
yeah, there's been lots of that this year.
yes, yes. I find, William talks about how tears carry toxins. And I had never thought about that until he said it that way. And I was like, oh, yes, I so understand
Mm,
that as we are releasing these tears, we're releasing toxins
mm,
out of our being, and just how important that
mm,
is to do. So,
mm.
friend, in this
And
beautiful
we don't have to be strong all the time. We can really embrace that, that softness and that vulnerability, and that those emotional releases. And
yes, those are important.
yeah.
Jackie, in this beautiful space, are there things that you would like to reiterate for our global audience?
So I am interested in talking with any Reiki teachers that would be interested in me coming and doing a SpinaReiki Zoom training for you and your students. So contact me, please.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I have loved these conversations. Jackie, thank you so much for the gift of your time, for reaching out. It was delightful. And someday I will come visit New Zealand. I just,
Absolutely, Sarah. Absolutely, 100%. So how we met was I've basically been cold marketing to Reiki teachers,
yes.
which
And you
has
do
been
it,
incredibly challenging.
and you do it so warmly. I typically will read the subject, the first two lines, and then I'm usually done. Because as a TV show, we get lots and lots of emails of people saying, "Hey, why don't you use this or why don't you do this?" But there was something that was very warm and different about what you were offering, and have been here only for a while, and so um, didn't feel like I was ready yet to start to collaborate in that way with you for teaching classes that way yet. I knew that having you onto the show, allowing you to speak about this that is so fresh and new and good, that this was the right space and the right time. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Very excited to be here today with you. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And to our guests around the world, to the people who are listening in, to our incredible audience, we say thank you to you, whether you are listening to this live or if you listen to this on demand as it better fits into your time. We are getting incrementally closer to being to the place where we're going to be, where you can just click on one huge app and find us easily. We are so excited about that. And until next time, take really good care of you.